What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here. And before we jump into the video, I do have one big announcement to make. I have just released my first course ever. It is called Scraping Stats. It is a step-by-step guide on how to scrape sports data off of the internet. So we go through pulling statistics for one player, for multiple players, for the entire league at one time. This is a skill set that will allow you to pull a ton of data off the internet, and it's how I built my databases. That is live right now. I will put a link in the description below. It's a course. It's almost 2 hours long, and if you follow along, it's going to take you a lot more than that. But it's really, really cool, and it's gotten good reviews so far. If you want to win access to that course, I will run a drawing. So if you are watching on YouTube, what you need to do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment of something you would like to learn. So that could be how to get a data feed put into your models, how to create a projection model, anything specific, anything general, just something you want to learn below in the comment section, and I will pull a winner and reveal it next time. If you are listening on the podcast version, go give a 5-star review. Same thing. The comment can be something that you have learned or something that you want to learn, and then leave me like your Twitter handle or something like that so I can get in touch with you and I'll draw it out again, or I'll announce it and you can get in touch with me. So a couple different ways. It's been great so far. I know you guys will enjoy it, but let's get on to the video. What's up, guys? All right, the Gups Corner Cup preview for this week, the Wells Fargo Championship. As we do every week, we're going to look back at the last time this contest ran, and I do have a confession to make to you, so this should be interesting, so we'll get to that in a second. But remember, it's been 2 weeks now, so with the Zurich Classic last week and no DraftKings contest, we had the week off for the Gups Corner Cup, the GC Cup. So we have not thrown a lineup in since the RBC Heritage 2 weeks ago. And I guess this is kind of a little bit of a confession. I did not throw a lineup in. So let's talk about that. This is the lineup that I wanted to play last week. It was Corey Connors, Tommy Fleetwood, Emiliano Grillo, Dustin Johnson, Ryan Moore, Rory Sabatini. Since this was 2 weeks ago, we don't have to go through this as much. There's a lot has happened. It's probably hard to remember back, what happened last week. But I will tell you, this is the lineup that I basically played almost across the board. This is the lineup that I showed you in the GC Cup video 2 weeks ago. It is the lineup that I intended to submit, and I did not. It is one of the dumber things I've ever done. So you can see here, I mean, I posted this on Twitter. You can see it. Like, this is a screen grab from the video 2 weeks ago where I have the lineup locked and loaded, ready to go with 10 hours and 40 minutes before lock, and I never pressed enter. So yes, this is a week to laugh at me, point, poke fun, tweet all of your insults, because I am definitely a moron for this one. I hate to admit it's not like not the first time I've ever done this. So usually what I do, since I don't have the contest to recap, right? I can't tell you who won. I don't have what it was. I'll just give you a little story. I mean, what I usually do when Josh, who's great, he sends out the invite to these very early in the week, like as soon as the contest goes live. So usually what he does is when he sends it out, usually I will then put a dummy lineup in. Okay, I'll either just reserve my spot or I'll put a dummy lineup in, just throw 6 guys in there. When I got the email about it, I don't know what I was doing. I was busy or whatever. I wasn't in front of a computer. I was like, okay, I'll get to that later. I never reserved a spot. I never did anything. So then when I went through and I entered all my contests with my dummy lineups, I replaced all my dummy lineups. I submitted everything. I missed it. I did not have that Gups Corner contest in my queue, so I didn't enter anything into it. I just entered everything else. So that's how I missed on it. And then I didn't realize it until it was probably Saturday. It was before Sunday's round. I know for sure it was. And I was like, wow, like I've got some good lineups here. Like, I'm winning a lot of money. Let me go see where I'm at in the Gups Corner, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh shit. Like, no, don't tell me I did. Don't tell me I did this. Sure enough, I contacted Josh. I'm like, Josh, tell me, am I going crazy? Am I missing this? And no, I hadn't entered. So there's good and bad news here. Obviously, terrible news that we didn't enter this, because going into Sunday, this lineup was in second place, which kind of really just had me not annoyed. I mean, it's whatever, man. Like, life happens. It's all good. But I was like, I was like, oh, this sucks. Like, I document this every week. I put a bunch of bad lineups in every week. Why couldn't the one that I not enter just finish, 100th and not get me any points? To not enter the lineup that's going to finish highly was just kind of a little annoying, because I wanted to share it with you guys. I guess good news is all of these guys sucked on Sunday. So DJ, who was like one out of the leader in first going into the final round, goes 6 over. Griot goes 5 over. Both those guys just dropped. Rory Sabatini dropped. So like, this would not have ended up being as good. I don't have the final standings. I think it probably would have finished still pretty highly, because a lot of chalk missed the cut. When I say pretty highly, like maybe top 20, I don't know. It scored 370.5 points. If anyone watching has the contest from last week, let me know what I would have finished. We'll play that silly game. But we definitely did leave some points on the table, but it doesn't seem like we left an absorbent amount. We didn't leave a first, or we didn't leave a second on the table. So really, really unfortunate, but especially because we were doing so well in the segment. But where does that leave us for this contest still? We're still here in 67th. We actually did not lose that much ground, all things considered. Again, a lot of chalk whiffed. There was pretty low scores. We're still very much alive in segment 2 here. We're in 33rd now. That's probably where this whiff hurts the most, because we were doing so well there. I think we were inside the top 15. To not get any points for a lineup that should have is going to hurt. So, let's just turn our attention to this week. This is the lineup that I'm going to play, and I have submitted this. So you can see it says update entry now, 10.5 hours out, which means I have already entered this lineup. I'm not going to make that mistake. Actually, I might make it again, but I'll try not to. So talked about a lot of these guys on the DFS video, which you can go watch. I'll try to link it like right here. Sometimes I see YouTube guys do that, where they're like, oh, go watch the video like above you, and it pops up. Like, I'll try to do that right there. We'll see if it works. So I found it difficult this week to construct a lot of lineups, really. I think I would have loved to have gotten Rory. I think I even would have settled for Day. But when I realized I wasn't going to get Rory in these lineups, because I didn't want to give up the meat in the middle, that between Day and Rose, like, I'm fine with both of them. I'll take the cheaper guy, and Rose, I think they're both going to be under-owned, as I kind of talked about, because Rose, misses the cut at the Masters. That's the last time everyone had a chance to play him. I think users and owners are going to stick to other players in this range. So fine to have Rose here. Absolutely fine to have him. The guys I didn't want to move off of were Glover and Benny On. So if you watch the full DFS video, Lucas Glover just pops up everywhere. Past champion here, but literally, like, his stats for this year were just everything we looked at, it would just fit Quail Hollow. Benny On, who has been one of the better players on the planet, and I don't really think that's an exaggeration when you go and look at his tee to green strokes gained over the course of the last 4 or 5 months or so. I really don't think it's that big of an exaggeration. He has been really, really good tee to green, and especially in his price range, he's like significantly better than everyone else in his price range. Combat that with the fact that he literally had at the RBC Heritage, when he missed the cut as chalk and everyone got off of him, literally the 2 worst rounds on tour that he has had this year. Literally the worst. His Thursday was the worst, and then his Friday was like 3 times as bad as that. It was just like an absolute ejection. I'm willing to say chalk it up as a little variance, chalk it up as a course that we talked about being so unique. Let's go out and play Benny On. I threw in Chip McDaniels, who is the Monday qualifier, a guy who is very close to min price. We have played him in the past at min price. He was kind of swagging on Twitter a little bit. I think he's feeling really good about his game. We're not expecting much out of him here. We're like, if he makes the cut, we're absolutely thrilled. He allows us some flexibility in these other spots. Luke List and JB Holmes. Start with JB because I think it's kind of a natural fit. There's a really strong corollary to Riviera. JB Holmes has won there. I think that Torrey also is a pretty similar course with how long it is, how fast the greens can be, how difficult it is for Quail Hollow, and JB's also won there. So I don't think it's a surprise to see him in my lineup. And then Luke List, who we're going to go back to Luke List. Last time we played him, I think we got absolutely burned. He finished almost dead last, I think. We had a really good Thursday and then shot like 8 or 9 over on Friday, I believe is how it went down. But Luke List, notorious, noted, terrible putter, is actually putting worse than that. And I kind of mentioned this in the DFS video where it's like he probably has to rebound at some point and just get back to his normal badness, if that makes sense. So he fit for 8,000. I left 600 on the table, so I probably could have gone up to 86 and gotten Sung Jae. I could have got Charles Howe, Johnny Vegas, Aaron Wise. Like, none of those guys move the needle as much for me as Luke List does with kind of his upside and his ability. Like, if he can get back to just being bad at putting instead of being really, really bad, might be a place for him to find some success. So interesting week or interesting recap where, last week absolutely brutal or 2 weeks ago to not have a lineup in, and we'll try to bounce back this week and see what happens. All right. Let me know if you have ever left a lineup out. If you how do you combat against that? Do you make your dummy lineups and then run a dummy lineup in, or have you actually entered contests and not filled out a lineup? Let me know. Tweet me. It's at DFS On Demand, or leave a comment below. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.